What's up, everybody? Coach Jesus here. Welcome back to RF Office Hours and the Resilient Fitness Podcast. Welcome to another edition. And today we are talking about something that is highly valuable to everybody out there who's trying to lift and learning to lift. And it is the biggest mistakes that have been made and how you should avoid them. So lock in on this one, take some notes, and be ready to go. Now, whether you're new to lifting or have been doing this for a while, the common factor is we've all made mistakes. And this is a perfect time to talk about it because we are actually kicking off our Powerlifting Club here in the next week. So it's a perfect time for our new members and our current members to kind of hear and learn from the stuff that we've done wrong or correctly, and hopefully help everybody move forward in a positive way. All right, so let's get right into it. Let's go out over the biggest mistakes that lifters have made and how you can set yourself up for success. Jumping into number one here, and it is treating powerlifting like bodybuilding. Now, one of the biggest mistakes that I see, especially when people come in with a background already of having general strength training and lifting or bodybuilding, is training like a bodybuilder instead of a powerlifter. And now, don't get me wrong, hypertrophy work has its place and muscle size does contribute to strength. But if you're serious about powerlifting and you want your squat, your bench, and your deadlift to get stronger, then you need to have specific training to reflect that. And three ways that you can address this is, number one, prioritize low rep, high intensity work. I'm talking about sets of 3 to 5 reps with heavier weights, as opposed to sets of 10 to 12 reps with lower weight, but more volume. Number two would be sticking to the main lifts. So prioritizing compound movements like your squat, your bench, and your deadlift as the main part of your exercise. And then number three is using accessory work wisely. Don't choose just to chase a pump, get your biceps, get your triceps. Choose movements that actually carry over into your main lifts. An example of this would be, if you're doing squats, doing some accessory work, quad work with goblet squats or box squats, or if you're doing deadlifts, doing RDLs, hamstring direct work. For upper body days is prioritizing some pulling movements that'll set up your back for good stability, and as opposed to like straight up isolatory movements or isolation movements like a ton of bicep work, a ton of calf work that may not have the biggest direct carryover into your squat, bench, or deadlift. Mistake number two is going to be not prioritizing recovery. Now, I know you're busy. I'm busy. We're all juggling work. We're juggling families, responsibilities, trying to stay fit, trying to make right choices, all this good stuff. But powerlifting is very demanding on your body and your nervous system. And some of the biggest mistakes that are made are due to not recovering properly. And what this looks like is stuff like not getting enough sleep, not eating enough quality food, and pushing too hard while deloading. And it's super important here to make sure that you're monitoring your fatigue, you're monitoring your recovery, you're monitoring your motivation, your desire to train, because those are signs that you're not recovering enough. So number one, sleep is one of the best ways to fix this. It's your best recovery tool. You can aim for 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Now that's a general recommendation. Some of y'all can get by with 5 hours or less. I don't know how you do that. Personally, I need 7. Anything more than that's a little too much. Anything less than that, I'm a wreck and I don't feel good. Number two is going to be eating to fuel your strength. You don't have to bulk, but under eating protein and under eating calories is definitely going to impact how you recover and how strong you get through a peaking cycle. So really important to you eat for your specific goals. And number three is going to be scheduling deloads. And deloads are every 4 to 6 weeks, pulling back the intensity and letting your body recover from the training that you're doing. You're going to get stronger when you recover. The training that you do fatigues your body and is demanding it to improve, but it can only do that when you're taking time off. So those deloads are super important that you have them scheduled inside of your training program. Mistake number three is going to be rushing your progress and testing your maxes way too often inside of a program. We all love hitting PRs, and one of the biggest traps lifters fall into consistently is maxing out every week or maxing out instead of training. And so a test is not the same as training. Strength is built over time, not by consistently checking like how much you can hit or how much you can lift every week in the gym, but allowing yourself to say, okay, I'm going to build up some volume and then I'm going to test it every 4, 6, 7, 8 weeks or every end of a block. And a good way to fix this is to follow a structured program that builds strength over weeks, not just random sessions. Every time you're at the gym, try to see how heavy you can bench. That's not an ideal way to build a strength program, let alone become a better powerlifter. One of the best ways is leaving reps in the tank. So leaving reps in reserve. Don't grind every session to failure. Don't drop the weight in your squat, in your bench, in your deadlift because you couldn't complete the repetition. Get to the point where like I got one more rep in and then get out of there. Leave it for the next training session. And trust the process. PRs come when your training is solid. So oftentimes with some of our powerlifters, they'll go in and we'll have a test day where you're trying to set a PR, or you're trying to see if you've improved in your training program, and they may not hit it. But then we'll have a deload week and we'll go into a competition or the next testing program, testing phase, and they hit a true PR, they hit the next PR, and it's because they actually allowed themselves to recover as part of this training cycle. So that's super important to note that you have to have a process and a structure to allow yourself testing times. Mistake number 4 is going to be poor technique and ego lifting. And this is a huge one. Powerlifting is all about moving the most weight possible safely or technically, as I like to say. Technical failure is what we're striving for. The problem is too many lifters sacrifice technique for weight on the bar, and it leads to stalled progress or worse, injury. Now, there's a lot of folks that can get by with this when not suffering injury, but it's kind of one of those things like, when is it going to happen, as opposed to like, it'll never happen. So we like to emphasize good technique. Now, I also will say, like, on the platform, it's PR or ER, right? That's the mentality. You want to try to get that as much as possible. That's just something fun we like to use. I would never want somebody to sacrifice their body for the sake of the weight. But there is a competitive nature to it, and you're going to try to lift the most amount of weight possible in that aspect. But in your training, you're looking for technical failure. The bar slows down, technique breaks down, you're done for the day. That was your rep max, whatever we're going for, a 1 rep, a 3 rep, or a 5 rep. So good ways to kind of fix this is, number 1, film your lifts. Film your lifts, watch them yourself. We don't have, at our gym, we don't have mirrors, because I want people to kind of get that mind-muscle connection of their movement and realize how to own that movement without having to look off to the side at a mirror and say, okay, this looks good, this looks bad. Now, that does have its pros and cons, like you can't see yourself, so you might make a mistake. So film it and adjust accordingly. Work with a coach. We have Powerlifting Club, and we have coaches that are going to be dissecting movement and giving cues and adjustments based on that to dial in your technique, right? Like, not everybody squats the same, not everybody's gonna bench the same, not everyone's gonna deadlift the same. So a coach could really help you kind of dial it in for your specific body and the movements that you need. And respect the process. Strength comes from consistent work. So if you're just loading the bar every 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and you take time off and you come back again and try it all over again, heavier than you can handle, you're gonna risk an injury. So we want to avoid that, and that's kind of where I fall under ego lifting, where you work out hard for a week, you got busy, so you missed the gym, then you come again and you hit it hard again, and you go as heavy as you can possibly go without respecting what I would refer to as base building. Being able to handle weight properly with great form and good movement, and then having calculated or structured times where you're going to ramp up the amount of weight that you're doing. And mistake number 5 is going to be training alone without support. Lifting alone is fine. There's plenty of us that do it. I like to lift alone. But if you want to get the most out of your powerlifting, having a team and being surrounded by like-minded individuals, all training for a greater purpose, is super motivating. And I'm also a big believer that if you're the strongest person in the gym, you probably got to surround yourself with somebody stronger to give you a target that you can actually pursue and strive to get better. And when you train with people, they hold you accountable, they push you, they'll help you refine your lifts and gives you tips on what they're doing and what you can do, and that'll help your numbers skyrockets. The strongest I've ever been has been when I've been lifting with other folks who are trying to be just as strong, if not stronger already than I am, or as a collective become. And that's exactly what we're doing next week. We're starting our powerlifting club that builds support system to help you train smarter. And if you're interested in that, we'll get some info in the show notes for you. And if you're not here and you got something else going on, find a buddy. Invite somebody to the gym and work out together. That could be such a great experience and really help you get those extra eyes and extra accountability and motivation for you. So in closing, if you're serious about getting stronger and you want to avoid these mistakes that we just shared, number one, training like a powerlifter, not a bodybuilder. You want to make sure you get that done. Prioritizing recovery. Stop maxing out all the time. Every session is not a PR session. Focus on your technique first. That's going to be huge. I tell that to everybody that steps in. Let the movement become great. Let it become smooth and fluid before you load it. And surround yourself with a strong lifting community. Something like boutique gyms like ours at Resilient Fitness tend to thrive on the community. But it could also be at one of the big box gyms where you have a couple buddies that all live together. That's great time to train. Those are great times that I've had in my life training with like-minded folks. So find yourself that group, that core group of peeps, and you'll go a far way. So if you're ready to take your training up a notch, our powerlifting club kicks off next week. It's for busy adults who want to live smarter, get stronger, and move better, and have a crew that keeps them accountable. And that's going to be our coaches and the members in there. So if you want in, shoot me a message on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, and you can come and check out one of the classes and see if it's a right fit for you. If this helped you in any way, please subscribe, share it with somebody who you think might benefit from avoiding these mistakes. And that's it for today. Lift heavy, live smart, and we'll see you in the gym next time.